about an orange-faced buffoon who should be in a jail. When people say he's done something that goes beyond the pale, he will shake his head and give this answer without fail. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, he says he tells no lies and that he never jokes. Confronting with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax. A modern Don Quixote, he hates the windmills, claiming to protect the birds and whales he says they kill. But don't believe that story, it's really just a shill. He just did not want to see them wild golfing on Scottish hills. A hoax, he said it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, changing a storm path with black marker strokes. Confronted with the truth, to say it's all a hoax. Casting mail-in ballots is something that he's done. Now he wants to ban them for each and every one. He claims it for integrity in each election, but he won't believe the results unless it's him that's won. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, they'll fool you with distractions like real sugar in Cokes. Confronting with the truth, you'll say it's all a hoax. He promised to release all the Epstein files that caused all the maggot base to react with smiles. But how long has he put it off? It sure has been a while, and now he's calling this a hoax, protecting pedophiles. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, he'll keep on gaslighting up until he croaks. Confronted with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax.
Trump piled debt, trillions tall, promised Mexico This just in. A sudden spike in logic levels across the city. Citizens report seeing a man with glasses and a podcast mic. We go now live to Liberal Dan.
Yo, who you gonna call when Nazi writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, cause you know we got a plan. The right wing talking shit, but he ain't about to quit. He'll take his proton pack and zap your logic cause it's whack. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall.
It's being reported that Liberal Dan is setting up what appears to be some sort of straw man containment field.
He's calling out your lies with his mic he'll vaporize. Cross the streams in your dreams, bitch, you know that he's too wise. You're like Slimer talking crap, but you walked into his trap. Yo, it's more than entertainment, it's misinformation contained. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall. The Statue Liberty, the writing you can't see. So bring the huddled masses, it's a war of the classes. While Trump may think he's Vigo, Dan can cut through that ego. He's got the facts to prove him wrong, got that logic like Egon. Your logic is a ghost, cause you know this chick is toast. When you follow MTG, it's conspiracy, you'll see. There's no need to taser, he's got wit like Occam's razor. Liberal Dan cuts those lies with his Jewish-based laser.
It's unbelievable. Liberal Dan just used the literal dog whistle to lure a large group of internet trolls into what is being called a self-collapsing rhetoric singularity. In all my years of reporting, I've never seen anything like this.
So don't call to be a heckler, you ain't no Judge Rexler. He'll bust you like Scolary, cause your logic's looking hairy. Right-wing callers think they're cool, but they sounding just like Zool. You the dog, he the man, and yo, his name is Liberal Dan. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall. Liberal Dan, Liberal Dan, Liberal Dan.
Proclaimed king, a groper in chief, stealing our country, a crooked orange thief. Faux patriots who are poorly educated, wearing red hats and also unvaccinated. Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. A failing media that's barely treading water. They're too inept to fight this new world order. Corporate pigs are at the trough, hear the squeals. The swine won't bite the hands that feeds them meals. But Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. A leftist voice on air, exposing MAGA treason, breaking through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. Unmasking hypocrisy, the truth will be our guide. Call out their lies, justice is on our side. Cause Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right.
welcome to Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left. That's right, this is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you live from New Orleans, Louisiana. We are live in 3 different locations again. We are live on liberaldanradio.com, which is the link to the YouTube channel, twitch.liberaldanradio.com, which is obviously the Twitch channel, and we're also going live on TikTok, as long as they not whiny little pains that, you know, doesn't like that I might get a little animated when I speak about the issues. Because apparently somebody felt the need to report me yesterday because I was too loud. Boo-hoo. Anyway, so thank you all for joining for the final normally scheduled day of Liberal Dan Radio of the week. Thanks everybody for joining us. We got Atrocious at Every Game and Jolie over on the Twitch chat. Jolie's over on the TikTok chat as well, and on YouTube for the trifecta. Thank you for joining, Jolie. Jeff from just north of Uranus, MST Wash, good to see you. Josh, good to see you as well. Unturned Stone, welcome. Good to see you as well. Please remember to make sure to smash that like button and subscribe as well to the channel. Unturned Stone thought this might be a right-wing propaganda channel, but that for sure ain't it. We are absolutely fighting the right wing every single chance we can get here on Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left. That's right. Good to see you, 250 Kilo Ohm, over on Twitch as well. Good to see you, Jackie. Let's see. Who else is here? Unturned Stone 44 says, your channel, you should be #1. You know, preach. I don't know if you're my brother or my sister, but preach. We would love to be able to get that. We're crawling and fighting and scraping to try and fight whatever shadow bans we might be dealing with over here on YouTube and on TikTok, and I mean, I don't know, maybe on Twitch. I'm not quite sure how Twitch does it. I just use it as another platform to get more viewers who watch over there instead of all the other places. So, but that's one of the reasons why I say in the song, Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to, because most people, unfortunately, are not. So, basic coding, majority of the Republican Party are proud morons that F up on purpose. Yep. I mean, they're proud morons because after the 2016 Nevada primary, Donald Trump did say they love the poorly educated, and they have to prove to him daily that they are still worthy of that love. So, let's see. Good to see you, Jackie, Suzanne, Catherine. I would prefer your loudness, frankly. Well, I'll be loud then. But thank you. I hope you're. I know you're a little sad earlier today as well, and all the sexist bullshit you went through yesterday. But I'm glad you're here today. I'm glad I kind of helped maybe give you a little bit of a reprieve from the annoying stuff that you were going through, and hope that we can make it better every day that we are online. So who else did I not say? Unturned Stone. Oddly enough, I never met a stupid person named Dan. Well, for a while, I would say then clearly you never met Dan Quayle, but at least Dan Quayle was smart enough to advise former Vice President of Donald Trump, Mike Pence, that it would be unconstitutional for him to prevent the counting of the votes, because his role in that on January 6th is more of a not a procedural role, but more of a kind of a ceremonial type role where he has no, he just basically runs the meeting and doesn't have the authority to stop anything from happening. So, but he might be the exception that proves the rule, right? So, but I appreciate that. I hope that I continue your track record of knowing smart, intelligent Dans. Let's see, Dan Quayle seemed fine. I mean, he did have that problem with the spelling of the word potato. And that kind of lived with him as well. But holy crap, that whole "you're no Jack Kennedy" line lives in infamy. Yes, it does. See, speaking of Trump loving the poorly educated, test scores this year hit all-time lows in the United States. Trump is getting his wish. Well, he needs that, in order for, as Donald Trump said, smart people don't like him. I mean, sometimes he does tell the truth, inadvertently, right? So good to see you, Scott. Thank you for joining. Let's see. If you have not yet, I've actually watched my own video that I posted last night after last night's show, with the recording of me doing Donald Trump as part of the Empire in Star Wars, and I've showed it to people who are not really on much social media as well, and so far the reaction has been great from the people who don't regularly watch the show. Hell, even a guy that's conservative was like, "Damn you, Dan, you have produced something that's going to make me want to watch your channel if you're going to continue to produce stuff like that." And I may very well want to do more Donald Trump as part of the Empire in a series of videos, I guess. If I can think of more ways that I could combine all of the horrible stuff that the empire did and compare it to the horrible stuff that, you know, Trump is doing and find good parallels. Like, I think I did really good last night with that. I mean, just pat my own back, right? Pat myself in the back for that. But, you know, as Donald Trump says,
it is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. But anyway, so I had a really, and even if it doesn't go viral, I would love for it to go viral. Not much of my stuff goes viral, but even if that doesn't go viral, I had so much fun doing that. It was such a good time just doing the whole thing, and, you know, not losing my voice completely, doing 5 minutes of Donald Trump is part of the empire. It was really great. Good to see you, Big Hook. Thank you so much for joining up from the Great White North of Canada, the Canadians, etc., our Canadian fans. Let's see what else. Good to see you, Rantler. I think that one passed by me. I don't, like, I know somebody said something sexist around you and it was two people and nobody spoke up, and that could very well be something. Maybe I'll cover more of that next week. Email me with maybe a little bit more details at liberaldanradio@gmail.com, and maybe we'll kind of fold it into an unraveling toxic masculinity bit as well, where or the segments where I talk about how men need to do better. Because clearly, from what I guess my 30,000-foot view of what you were talking about, people were being horrible, and nobody else was stepping up, which is similar to what I think Jolie was going through. By people, you had a bunch of guys at a table who were basically dropping the N-bomb with no problem whatsoever either, and that's what. And Tucker John talked about this earlier today, but I will wholeheartedly endorse what he said, and I've said this before as well, is that because Donald Trump is president, ever since Donald Trump ran for president, ever since he came down those escalators in 2015, he has emboldened bigots, he has emboldened xenophobes and racists and anti-Semites to boot. He has emboldened so many people to be their true authentic selves, and while normally we'd like to tell people to be their true authentic selves, you know, sometimes we think that the people who are being their true authentic selves by being sexist, bigoted, racist, it's anti-Semitic, etc., they can go DIAF, as one might say. I can't say the full words because, again, TikTok might cry. So, so what else? Let's see. I am not on his good list. Oddly, we get along. Who? Let's see. Not on whose good list. Josh Cease, there you go. Dan Bungino, Dan Bungholio, Dan whatever you want to call him. He may very well be an example of somebody who is not the sharpest bulb in the six-pack, if you want to use a mixed metaphor, right? So, anyway. On Turnstone, if you are new to the show, all of those songs are videos that I produced. Only the Ghostbusters kind of themed one was produced by the first Liberal Dan patron, Demonox, but everyone else, all the other songs and several other songs I have produced using AI. And we'll talk about AI in a little bit, but I've produced those songs and put them out there. There's videos on YouTube, and there's also a lot of the songs are also available on Spotify if you want to check that out as well. And just as a reminder, in 6 days on May 20th, it is my birthday. I will be the big 50. So we will be doing a show for my 50th birthday. And because we're probably going to go to dinner some other day, not on a weekday or whatever, just to either celebrate early or celebrate late, probably early. And I would really love to be able to get as close to 2,000, if not over, as possible. We're trying to make that push. We're trying to, crack that, milestone so that maybe we can start getting more and more and more, and hopefully at some point it will start snowballing. Not yet, but again, we're trying to use all the tools as possible to be able to do it. So let's see, big hug at Walmart today in parking lot, walking past or related in a Nirvana t-shirt. I know I heard a fart. I actually heard somebody else talking about seeing middle schoolers wearing Nirvana t-shirts as well. Apparently wearing Nirvana t-shirts is a big thing. I'm surprised. I should have worn mine today too, right? Catherine will be 50 in July. Well, Mazel Tov, and if you're close, to a show, if it happens on a show date and you're here, I will gladly sing you a happy birthday. I think I missed Susie's last Thursday, I want to say, maybe a week ago. Maybe that's because I didn't have a show last Thursday. Maybe that's why I missed Susie. So if Susie hops in, I guess after when Hal's over, I'll have to go ahead and confirm that last Thursday was her birthday and then sing her a belated happy birthday song as well. So, Jeff, it was a Walmart less than a mile from Uranus. It must have smelled really bad then, huh? So, wait, that needs a... So anyway, let's see. Jolene. Or Joe, are you doing Jolie, not Jolene? Let's see. 250 kilometer Yosemite is not just a national park. Trump announced that Yosemites like late train of thought. Exactly. Whenever he goes Yosemite, I'm like, what is he? Is he trying to be anti-Semitic now? I was like, yo, Semite, what's up? So, wait, am I being too loud for y'all over there, TikTok? Maybe for TikTok, I need to use my NPR voice. Like, welcome to Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman. Anyway, support the show, all the different ways to support the show. Like the stream. Like, obviously, you subscribe if you've not subscribed. Go check out any new videos. Share them to your friends, on different social media platforms. Encourage them to like, share, subscribe, comment. All that good stuff. Help the algorithm because Al Gore needs more rhythm. I have Liberal Dan on Venmo. Buy me a cider. Go to buymeacoffee.com/liberaldanradio or go to liberaldan.com. Click the Buy Me Cider button. You can become a Liberal Dan patron. Patreon.com/liberaldan or patreon.liberaldan.com. Either way gets you there as well. Go to Liberal Dan Store. Jolie, if you could please give the link to Liberal Dan Store, it'd be appreciated. And you can get the FDT, you can get the Man of La Maga shirt, you can get an Al Gore Needs More Rhythm shirt as well, plus various other ones that will be available to you as well over on the store. But again, the most important thing, commenting on videos. Apparently, I guess according to Riverboat Jack, if you haven't followed Riverboat Jack, you make sure to do so and tell her Liberal Dan Radio sent you. Or Large Marge, but she might not know the Large Marge reference, at least that I'm sending. So anyway, so apparently like comments that are eight words or longer really help the algorithm better than just simple likes on comments or whatever. I think it shows that people are interacting more than just hey or good job or whatever. Again, I haven't quite figured out how the algorithm works. We just know that Al Gore needs more rhythm. That's all we know here. So thank you, Jolie, for sharing the Liberal Dan merch link. I do have the Canada is the or make the United States the 11th or 12th province of Canada. One of my friends actually did buy it and wore it the other day. I was very happy to see that. So where's that? I lost this window. There we go. There's the window. What happens when you have like 17 different windows when you're trying to run trying to do a podcast and you're trying to hold up 17,000 windows with your Google Voice phone in line, the whatchamacallit over on TikTok, my notes that I have to talk about all the things I want to talk about today. Lather, rinse, repeat. Anyway, we're already like 13 minutes into the show and 25 minutes overall. 13 minutes into actual content, and I've really discussed nothing yet. So we will start talking about the topics. And again, if we happen to go through and Hal is able to do a raid, great. That'd be awesome and wonderful. And, if we run out of stuff to talk about and I have to end a little earlier, then we'll do that as well. But we may very well just go ahead and open the phone lines at some point, because I don't think I've done that at all yet this week. So we'll do that. And again, if anybody wants to have a debate over on TikTok, that option is available as well. And I would love to have debates with conservatives over all the redistricting stuff that's going on with Louisiana versus Calais, with the Mifepristone ruling, with all of the other BS that's going on in this country today. I would even love to have conservatives try and explain to me either A, what makes you still support Trump, or what potential line do you see would he have to cross in order for you to be able to say, I tap out, I'm done, he's lost my support. There's some people where that will never happen. He could literally assault one of their relatives and or whatever. He could do whatever he wanted to do in the middle of Times Square to one of their own relatives, and he'll be like, and the Trump MAGA people be like, well, he had to do it. So big hook. Psychopaths are getting easier to spot these days. Yes, they are. A lot of them are wearing red hats. So anyway. But let's talk about, I forget who it was. I apologize. But somebody in the chat did give me one of the things that I wanted to talk about today. And it's a good story because it's a story about exactly what I've been talking about. When I talk about like AI data centers and the use of artificial intelligence, kind of on, the House Spark side of the argument where I do support the use of AI, but I think, I support the use of it, as long as we regulate the industry, as long as we regulate the companies that are trying to create these data centers to make sure that they don't harm the population around them. That's the kicker. Because, my problem with AI is typically going to be my problem with many big corporations, is that they operate unethically. People sometimes will say there's no ethical consumption under capitalism, and artificial intelligence would just be yet another example of non-ethical consumption if everything is unethical consumption, right? So it is my opinion that we're better off trying to make sure that these people are regulated, that these companies are regulated, that they're prevented from doing things. And my two biggest concerns when I brought this up, when I started talking about the incoming data center in North Louisiana, and all these other data centers that were coming up, I said there's two things that need to be taken care of, that government has a responsibility to do to protect the citizenry. They need to make sure that these companies are producing their own electricity so that they do not harm the local demand or affect the demand in any way, or at least perhaps, maybe they create enough energy where they create more than what they need and they can sell it back on the grid. Maybe they make a little bit of money from selling their stuff back on the grid, and then maybe, the people might actually get a lower price overall for the electricity, because guess what? You've increased supply without increasing overall demand, or you've offset the increased demand from the data center by creating your own and making more, so that it affects everybody else's other prices and lets their prices go down too. And also, you want to make sure that it doesn't affect the water supply, because if you're using your water to to cool the computer systems or whatever however you're cooling the systems, you need to make sure that you're not pulling the supply of the regular drinking water from the rest of the population and either again making it more expensive for them, or just using it all and screwing over the populace. Well, in Lake Tahoe, here we seem to have an example of where government has failed to watch out for the little guy and is instead just rolling over for the big data centers and saying screw you to the people. And of course, it's a little weird with the way the situation is set up, because as I understand it, the best I understand it, you have the Lake Tahoe residents who are, in California, the people who are in California, but they are hooked to the electricity grid that's regulated by Nevada. So the people who are the politicians of Nevada are, generally speaking, will likely don't represent the people in Lake Tahoe, because, at least in California, because they're California citizens and not Nevadans, right? So they really have no desire, I would guess, except for maybe if, they just want to be good people. But how many politicians are good people that are still in office, right? There are some, but the vast majority of them are shitbags. So, so then you had the supplier of Nevada Energy, and then you had Liberty Utilities, which was basically taking over, I guess, the Lake Tahoe power grid. But Liberty Utilities was supposed to, I guess, find other sources of electricity and had not yet done so. And because they had not yet done so, the Nevada Energy Company was extending the agreement, and finally said, we're no longer going to extend the agreement. But here you go. Let's go dig a little deeper into what's going on. So Lake Tahoe could lose access to most of his electricity supply by May of 2027. So they have 1 calendar year, or 12 months. I guess not 1 calendar year, but one full year, I guess. Nevada Energy informed Liberty Utilities that it plans to stop supplying roughly 75% of the electricity used by Liberty customers on the California side of Lake Tahoe, which represents 49,000 residents that are affected. Hey, Can't Stop Lying, good to see you. Thank you for joining. And yes, Edgewalker, I am talking about renewable energy, but I'm also talking about any sort of energy altogether, because I'm talking about what's going on in Lake Tahoe with the data centers. And yes, I do think that these data centers should be using things like, alternative sources of energy as a way to help promote it and actually help promote the manufacturing of these things, to make the manufacturing of the solar panels and the wind farms or whatever cheaper, because you started creating more of them, you started creating the factories that can make them, and as such they will be cheaper to produce, therefore cheaper to obtain, therefore bringing the initial price cost down, which would then enable more people to have access to it, which would then reduce the demand on fossil fuels by even more, which would then bring everybody's prices down as well as helping the environment. So how anybody could be opposed to that who are not like CEOs and majority shareholders in these electricity companies is beyond me. But anyway, let's continue. So 49,000 residents are going to be affected by this potential energy loss. Massive AI data center demand in northern Nevada is causing this. So northern Nevada has become a booming hub for AI-related data centers tied to companies like Google, Apple, and Microsoft. I believe the one that's opening in Louisiana is Meta. But yeah, all of these big companies want to create these data centers, and of course they're going to go try and find the most places that will cater to them. Which again, there should be a federal role here for regulations, because they're doing interstate commerce, and you can legitimately say that they're doing interstate commerce, because if they're AI data centers and they're connected to the internet, you wouldn't have the internet without the ARPANET. And then moving the ARPANET to what the internet has become today, which Al Gore did cast, some decisive votes on. That's why Al Gore joked around saying that he invented the internet. And of course, Al Gore created the internet because the internet is based on code, and all code is based on an algorithm. The numbers that make people's eyes bulge. Here, data centers already consume 22% of Nevada's electricity, and analysts project that they could rise up to 35%. 12 planned northern Nevada data center projects could add 5,900 megawatts of demand. 5,900 megawatts of demand is enough electricity to power millions of homes under normal conditions. 75% of the projected major electricity load growth in Nevada is tied to data centers, and that figure comes from expert testimony referencing Nevada Energy's own planning documents. So why is Lake Tahoe more vulnerable than the rest? Lake Tahoe is physically tied to Nevada's grid, even though many customers are in California. As we said, the electrical infrastructure is connected to Nevada's transmission system rather than California's main grid. And then so there is no single regulator that fully controls the situation. California regulators oversee customer rates. Nevada oversees much of the transmission system. Federal regulators oversee interstate electricity sales. So there's a bureaucratic mess, a hydra, if you will, a multi-headed beast, where everyone has partial authority, but nobody can fully own and take responsibility for the problem. And then building new transmission lines over the Sierra Nevada mountain range is difficult and expensive. I mean, I'm not necessarily going to boo-hoo electricity companies for having to do that, but there is a granite moat around the region's energy options, so they're kind of limited when it comes to that. And I'll get to some of your comments, Edgewalker, in a second as we continue to talk about this. But I do want to go over kind of the less of a 30,000 foot view and maybe like a 5,000 foot view, or maybe digging in a little bit deeper. So the residents who are living in Lake Tahoe, yeah, that's what it is. I just had tacos for dinner. Maybe that's why mine is going to tacos. Residents are freaking out. They're fearing outages. Utility officials say that the power is not shutting off, but residents worry because Liberty has less than a year to secure replacement supply contracts. And how are they going to get those if they don't have new transmission lines, if making new transmission lines become more expensive? How are you going to do it? What are you going to do? Right? It'd be very difficult with the Sierra Nevada mountain range. It'd be very difficult to be able to get those new lines. So how are you going to get them from California? So then you have to get it to come in on the other side and go through the Nevada grid, which again, now you still have to deal with a three-headed beast, right? And then, of course, the other fear that residents have are, again, rapidly rising electricity bills, which is one of my concerns that I've spoken about when I've said if you're going to allow these data centers to happen, you need to make sure that they are energy independent, so that they're not causing a drastic drain on the a drain on the amount of energy available, because now you've super increased the demand without having a commensurate raise in the increase of supply, right? So reports indicate residential electricity costs in the region have risen dramatically in recent years. Some estimates show increases approaching 77% since late 2022. And there is a feeling amongst the residents that they are being sacrificed to Skynet, basically, to AI. Critics argue that the mountain communities are losing leverage against trillion-dollar tech interests. One local advocate described the situation as resource extraction, arguing residents are effectively competing against AI infrastructure for electricity. And I can't see why they're wrong. So why does this story matter beyond the residents of Lake Tahoe? Well, I mean, I've said it already here on Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, That's Right. We have a situation in Louisiana where Meta's building a data center, and what's going to happen to the residents where the data center is built? Are they going to have increased water costs, increased electricity costs? Are they going to be harmed in any way financially because you're basically doing a giveaway by allowing these people to come in without a plan to deal with offsetting the demand that they have for electricity, the demand they have for water, etc. So across the United States, utilities are warning that AI-driven data center growth is stressing electrical grids. Experts are projecting data centers could consume 12% of all U.S. electricity by 2028, up sharply from a few years ago, which is why we need to do things like invest in solar panels and, wind turbines and etc. But, we have a moron as president. Thank you, Alyosha, for the bits. The windmills, they kill the whales, they kill the birds, they're horrible, we don't like them, they're terrible, and we don't want to have these windmills everywhere. I hate them, they suck. Because, as we say in the song,
A modern Don Quixote, he hates the windmills, claiming to protect the birds and whales he says they kill. But don't believe that story, it's really just a shill. He just did not want to see them wild golfing on Scottish hills.
A hoax. Anyway, so let's see. Utilities may increasingly prioritize giant industrial consumers. Data centers can sign massive long-term contracts and justify expensive infrastructure investments. Small communities often lack comparable bargaining power. AI is the physical infrastructure issue. AI is discussed like it's software floating around in the cloud, but the cloud is a giant warehouse full of servers that is taking in electricity like no one's ever seen. I've used so much electricity. No one's ever seen as much electricity. And, we can't use the wind turbines and we can't use the solar panels because they're terrible. Anyway, so Nevada Energy has pushed back on the idea. They're saying that the transition was planned years ago, has nothing to do with AI, and that Liberty Utilities was expected to secure alternative power sources eventually. But what if they don't? And if they don't, and that seems like to be the situation right now, is that now with AI, the fact that they haven't yet is putting a threat to the 49,000 people living in Lake Tahoe who are affected by this. Liberty Utilities says that customers should not panic. Well, why? What me worry? Like Freddie Newman, right? It said is already seeking replacement energy suppliers and expects to issue formal requests for proposals in 2026. Well, nothing like waiting till the last minute. It's just like celebrating today that April was National Procrastination Month, right? And Nevada's $4.2 billion Greenlink transmission project could expand access to additional energy markets though the timeline is apparently tight. So, let's see. What's up, P-Dubs? Good to see you. Thank you for joining. Who else joined in? We see Suzanne. We see Jan. Who else am I missing? Yeah, there's a lot. Jan Morgan says there's a lot of wealthy people in Tahoe. It surprises me that there's no outrage yet. Well, I'm sure there will be. But again, even wealthy individuals are not going to be able to compete with the trillions and trillions of dollars of worth of value of companies that are going to be fighting for those electricity demand. Chaz says, I'm pretty sure they recirculate water in newer ones being built, and a permit was submitted in April for a dedicated 350 megawatt generation plant for which supplier? And where, I would say. Edgewalker puts over here, so you want to use the state to force data centers to use not the source of energy that makes sense in the market, but adherence to your feelings and ideological beliefs. That's not what I said at all. I did say that they perhaps should, help with, they could, by doing so, help, create solar and wind farms, whatever. But, if they wanted to build like a micro-nuclear power plant or whatever and use that, because nuclear energy is fairly clean and safe too, right? But nobody wants nuclear energy in their backyard. All the NIMBY folks will say, we need to do something different than fossil fuels, but then they won't allow a new nuclear reactor to be built in their backyard because they're hypocrites. I mean, look, everybody's scared of Chernobyl and everyone's scared of 3 Mile Island, and I get that. I remember 3 Mile Island is probably one of my earliest news memories. I think the two things that I remember most on the news when I was a kid was 3 Mile Island and John Lennon getting shot. So I always forget which one is first. I look it up and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, and then I forget again. But yeah, I mean, people were scared. I was in Baltimore, not that far away, relatively speaking, from 3 Mile Island. So but here's the thing: even if they were just going to use coal or natural gas or any other type of fossil fuel that could be used to help, fund or power these data centers, even if they were going to use those, they should be required to have them set up, so that they do not take away from the available supply to existing customers. If they don't have the overage already and the ability to create the supply to meet that demand, then they should not be able to build the plants until you're able to do so. And I would argue that the same things would be used, the same sort of logic would be used on whether or not a new community was able to be built. Like, let's say some developer wanted to come in and create a community. People would ask questions about that community, like, how is that a community going to affect drainage in the area? How is that community going to affect the water supply in the area? How is that new community going to be able to affect, the electrical grid in that area? People would have questions for that. Let's say you want to build a new mall. Let's say you want to build any other economic development project. All of those questions would have to be answered in the planning stages of building these things. But for some reason, AI data centers, it does not seem to be a priority for a lot of these people, as we're now seeing with the Lake Tahoe residents now facing the loss of 75% of their available power. So, yeah. So would I like them to, invest in solar and wind and alternative forms of green energy to help bolster it? And do I think that maybe the government could maybe work out some tax breaks and say, hey, if you do this, if you create these energy sources on your property or whatever, or, help develop them, and you do the green ones, then maybe we help give you a little tax break as well, to help you come in and help you set all that up, so that we attract your business, so that we attract the construction costs, we get the employees at these data centers in our state. There's lots of benefits for having these companies come in. I'm not going to say there's no benefit for having them, but I'm saying you can't have, as Donald Trump said during the COVID-19 pandemic, the cure can't be worse, can't be more harmful than the disease. You don't want to have the cure being more harmful than the disease. So you don't want to have a system that's setting up this huge, we're getting jobs. Ooh, we're getting construction jobs and people will be employed there and, it'll generate tax revenue, but at the expense of the people who are buying electricity. Now their electricity prices are gonna, if you double the demand or more compared to the rest of the area, then the people are going to be screwed, because either they're going to not have power or the power is going to be too expensive. They won't be able to afford it. And I don't understand why you can't see that, Edgewalker. I don't understand why you cannot understand that concern that these people would have, and why government would have a role in making sure, when you're allowing these projects to happen, when you're zoning these projects to happen, when you're making sure that, the role of government, first and foremost, is to protect people and entities from other people and other entities. So how many small businesses are these entities going to destroy because they've allowed this big, massive one to plop down in? I can't operate this business here in this area of the state anymore because my electrical costs are now too high, because this data center is sucking up all of the electricity and can pay out the wazoo for it. Meanwhile, ma and pa shops are going to be shit out of luck, right? So that is a absolute vital question that should be answered, and that is an absolute, problem that needs to be dealt with. And I don't understand why you can't see it. I don't understand why conservatives can't grasp that simple comment. Anyway, Edgewalker also says, as of May 2026, data centers in the U.S. are rapidly shifting towards on-site, behind-the-meter power generation to meet AI-driven demand, with roughly 30% of all planned data center capacity in the United States intending to produce its own power. Who wrote that, Edgewalker? Who wrote that blurb from the article that you're citing? I want to know that, because there's another way to look at that. Let me reword what you just quoted in the chat, but a different way. As of May 2026, data centers in the U.S. are shifting towards on-site, beyond-the-meter power generation to meet AI-driven demand, with 70% of all planned data center capacity in the United States intending to not use its own power. So you're trying to pat them on the back for 30% of them using their own power. That means 70%'s not. Welcome, sparklers. Thank you for joining us here on Twitch, and I'm assuming in a few seconds also on YouTube. Welcome, House Sparks. Welcome, CSL. Welcome, Andrea. All the people who are coming into the show, appreciate you. We may have to do a little bit of a rewind. Thank you for Desolate Misanthrope for following me. Please make sure to smash that follow button on Twitch. Smash the subscribe on YouTube as well. We also have a thing on Twitch going on where if you buy 5 or more gift subscriptions over on Twitch, you can do it at a discount. So it's another way to support the followers, the people who listen to Liberal Dan Radio Talk From Life That's Right, or watch Liberal Dan Radio Talk From Life That's Right. It's another way that you can do it by gifting 5 or more memberships. It's cheaper to do during the current promotion that's currently running. Thank you, Twitch, for allowing that to happen. So let's see. Other thing, total plan self-generation. Okay, as to the House Sparks, actually, I'm going to wait. Okay. The House Sparks people are now coming in on YouTube as well. So thank you all for joining us over here as well. If you are coming in, rating from House Sparks on YouTube, again, please make sure to smash that like button. And if you've not subscribed yet, please make sure to subscribe. We are aiming to try and get to 2,000 subs on YouTube by my birthday, which is next Wednesday. Next Wednesday is my birthday. And no, YouTube, again, I am not going to insert ads. I'm not going to do that. But again, thank you so much, Balkers. And again, as you come in, hit that like button. Help the algorithm. Algorithm needs more rhythm. So, hey, Andrea, again, good to see you. Thank you very much for showing up. Hey, Groove Dragon. Hey, Amy Engelbright, good to see you. Frank, good to see you as well. Thank you all for joining. Joel as well. Hey, Aaron, I don't think, did you just come in, Aaron? But if you have, thank you, Aaron, for another 1/2 of the mod squad. Appreciate you as well for everything that you do for the show. See the like buttons going up. Thank you. Hey, Otis, good to see you as well. Otis George. I will continue saying hello. But again, as we were talking about here on Liberal Dan Radio Talk From Left That's Right, we are discussing AI. I mean, it is Thursday, so tomorrow is Friday AI with Hal's show on the morning show. But we are talking AI now, and we're talking about these data centers and how there is a town of Lake Tahoe. 49,000 people are risking loss of electricity simply because of the fact that they are hooked to the Nevada grid, and the current Nevada energy supplier is like, we're not going to be able to supply 75% of the power anymore because it's going to go to these data centers, which are demanding more. So again, there's the question of, what should government do? What role should government play in making sure that these data centers are not taking away, I would say stealing, but some people might have problems with that. They're not, to make sure that these people are not losing their power or having to pay exorbitant prices for the power. There should be a net neutral solution where you should be able to come in and be able to show how you're going to generate your own power completely, not 30%, but 100% of your own power, or maybe even more than 100%, and put some stuff back on the grid and help those people who are, maybe even reduce their prices any. But there should at least be a net zero effect on the power grid for the electricity, because they should be required to create their own, and that should be part of any planning that is being done over the creation of these AI facilities. See, Edgewalker continues on. Despite the growth of on-site production in 2023, data centers relied heavily on public grid, consuming approximately 176 terawatt hours, or 4.4% of U.S. total electricity. Of course, as we've said, it is projected that by 2028, 12% of all electricity will be consumed in the United States by the people, by these data center companies. Hey, Susie, good to see you. Appreciate you. Susie, did I miss your birthday last Thursday when I did not do a show? Like I think I remember that your birthday was maybe last Thursday, and did I miss your birthday when I skipped my show last week? Let's see. Let's see. You said promote the cause. You said they should promote the cause. I didn't say. Did I say the words promote the cause? What timestamp did I say that? Did I even say get with the program? I don't know. But why, Dan? Why do you want to control what they do? Because I'm not a person who's going to be firmly placing my face on the posterior ends of the big corporations. And I'm going to say that, again, government has a role to protect people and entities from other people and entities. And when these data centers come in, well, part of the role of government should be to make sure that the creation of these data centers, and like I said, these data centers are going to create jobs when these data centers get built. These data centers are going to create jobs for the people that are going to be working there, and they're going to be high-tech jobs, so they're going to be very sought after, and I understand all that. But you need to make sure, again, as Trumpy boy said, you can't have the solution be worse than the cause. You can't have the cure be worse than the sickness. You can't have, the benefits of bringing in a data center can't outweigh the costs. Oh, so you're going to get a few jobs here, but everyone else is going to have to leave town because they can't afford to live there anymore because energy prices spike so high. That's the problem. And I don't understand, again, why you can't understand this sort of thing. Frank, Trump suing us for $10 billion. Well, that's a whole nother different issue. And we've discussed that before on the show. My prediction has been, and they're moving towards this way. Remember, way back when, I'm sure somebody can confirm that I said this way back when. I said that Trump may very well be suing for $10 billion, but when they eventually end up settling, they'll settle the case and they'll settle it for like maybe $2 to $3 billion. And Donald Trump would be like, I agreed, I had 10 billions of loss, but I agreed to only take 3 because I wanted to save the U.S. taxpayers' money. He was not harmed by this bullshit at all. He was not harmed by the release of that, by the one individual who shouldn't have done it, but by the release of that information. I mean, he's the only president since Nixon who has not produced his tax returns. Everyone else did. He's not done it. Oh, but I was under investigation. I can't release it. I'm under investigation. Nobody's ever said that. Nobody has confirmed that as a truthful statement. You could have very well released them if you so wanted to, but you chose not to. And then he's, again, watch what the settlement number is. If the settlement number is like $2 or $3 billion down from the 10 that he's asking for, you'll know where you heard it first. You'll know where you heard that prediction first, and I'll be sitting there and I'll be saying it over and over again. I effing told you so. Because he is using government as his own personal pocketbook. And when he does that, when they settle that case and he gets $3 billion or whatever he's going to settle for, when he gets that money, I don't want to hear jack shit from conservatives about, oh, Donald Trump's not taking a paycheck. We already know he's earning money hand over fist every time government stays at Mar-a-Lago or Bedminster, or he sends any person in government to any one of his global resorts. We already know his company's making money that way. We already know he's making money hand over fist with, Trump, the Trump cryptocurrency, Trump phones. He's using all of his abilities, all of his power as president to be able to convince people to come in and go, he's making money hand over fist. And then he gets to write off whatever he donates from his presidential salary off his taxes. So his income is not as high because, he wrote it off because he donated it. Of course, what causes he donated to? Probably the causes that are going to help him and support him, right? So it's not a altruistic gift. He's not just ignoring the money because he can afford it. He is ignoring that money because he's making so much more money with other cons that he's doing as president of these United States. So yeah. see. Edgewalker says new data centers are increasingly utilizing on-site power generation or whatever. 38% of U.S. facilities expected to use this model by 2030. Popular sources like natural gas turbines, fuel cells, and on-site renewables, with 27% to be fully powered, by 2030. 27% is not enough. That's my point. With 27%, that means, 78%. I almost had a Trump math moment. 78% of the power is going to be, again, sucking from the grid, which is why they say 12% of all U.S. electricity by 2028 is going to be going to data centers. A Trusted Every Game says the role of government is to enrich the Trump family and allow them to evade prosecution. Can you imagine what would happen if Biden would be suing the federal government for $10 billion and then they settled for $3 billion?
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, the screen fell play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
Satin Flower Jungle, maybe we should put all the data centers in Antarctica. I mean, that might cause a problem with the heating of it, right? Although maybe you could put them in Greenland, right? Maybe Jeff Landry could, not the ambassador, but the special envoy to Greenland. Maybe Greenland could be, maybe he could be like, hey, you could put the electricity over there, and we could make sure that we could have, all that in the middle of Greenland, right? I don't know. See, I missed the answer from Susie. I was going to call on my birthday, but no worries. Was your birthday last Thursday, though? Was I right? Was I remembering that correctly? Hakuna Matata. So let's see. So DB Golding, I've scrolled too far or whatever. DB Golding, good to see you. Jen, good to see you. CSL, good to see you. Desolate Misanthrope, good to see you and thank you for following. Adrian, Scan Rick, C4 Miles, appreciate y'all. Atrocious every game. Imagine if Biden read an ad after getting raided by the sparklers.
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, the screen fell play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
Edgewalker goes, as I explained, data centers only use 4.4% of the power consumed by the public grid. Yes, but it'll be 12% up by 2028. And only 4.4% is a shit ton. So 4.4%, let's see. U.S. population, what, 350 million at this point? 342.5 million. So 342.5 million times 4, but this is not times 0.044. So again, this isn't perfect math. It's not as bad as Trump math. It's not perfect math, but these AI data centers are currently using the equivalent of roughly 15 million people. So data centers are using the same amount of power that 15 million people are using. You say only, I'm saying it's a lot. Let's see, sure, you can complain about that, but the amount of AI boomer content you produced, you are also the reason for existence and the price of RAM being $3,000. Again, I am not against AI. I am pro AI regulation, which includes the regulation of how they get built and how you can build a data center and the requirements that somebody should place on these data centers to make sure that they are not, draining the supply or causing the price of electricity to go up. And if they're only, generating 30% of their own power off the grid, that means that their 70% of the power is being used from the grid, which means that's power that could be going to people that aren't, potentially, or causing the demand to skyrocket so high with a fixed current set of the demand goes up with a fixed supply, which means your prices are going to go through the roof. Let's see, right side, Rob Lebdan, also story in Georgia data center drained 30 million gallons of water without reporting or paying for it. Again, and that's part of my point that I've made, that they should be required to be water, not taking away the water from the population and not draining the electricity away from the population. And now they're doing both. So something needs to be done to prevent that. Just like something should have to be done by any corporation, by any big business that would be coming into an area. Any other business that would go into an area should also be told, look, if you're going to use this much power, how are you going to offset that much power that you're now going to be taking from the system to make sure that you're not negatively impacting your neighbors? How are you going to make sure that drainage in the area is not going to be harmed because you are now having an increased demand for drainage services as your water is running off for any water that you are not able to recapture and recycle and reuse? How are you going to make sure that you're not taking away from the available supply of water so that people don't have shortages of water when they need it, which is, all the time, right? So, Right Said Rob also says, from what I understand, not many jobs, especially relative to the size and resources used. I was going to bring that up as well, but, I didn't think that would be an argument that would really convince edgelord over there. So, Right Said Rob, think you are the only person I see covering this. Well, that's why we need to have more people watching Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, That's Right, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Central, here at liberaldanradio.com, twitch.liberaldanradio.com, or Liberal Dan Radio on TikTok. Yes. 250 kilo. Pronounce acetaminophen. Okay.
Well, let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen. Acetaminophen.
And I'm not sure if you caught it. You may have. How many of y'all who are rating from Hal missed my show yesterday and missed the video where I did my imitation of Donald Trump if Donald Trump was part of the Galactic Empire in Star Wars? Because I did make sure to include some of that in his ability or inability, I guess, that he would have to pronounce the home of the Wookiees, aka Kashyyyk. See, Catherine, data centers are in the same category to me as water that you can lightning fire from fracking consequences. Yeah, exactly. Not effing okay. Exactly. If you're fracking and causing water to be set on fire, then you're a problem. And again, that's another thing that should have been fixed. That you should make sure, again, if you're in the electricity and energy industry and you're going to be doing things that could have harm to other people, you should have to make sure to either mitigate the harm or pay for the harm to be fixed. Right? And they're not. Let's see. 250 kilo. Do you have another version of Had Biden Done It? Do you mean, do I have a shorter version of Had Biden Done It? Or do I have another version of the long form Had Biden Done It? Because on the Cinco de Mayo episode of Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, That's Right, we did do a alternate version of Had Biden Done It. Maybe we'll play those on the way out. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, we have two versions of Had Biden Done It, if Trump can't see it, the Liberal Dan Radio theme song and hoax. So, 250 kilo. Trump is working on the population problem. I mean, that's a very dystopian way to look at it, but I guess you're right? That his solution would be, well, you don't have to worry about powering the people if you have fewer people. Well, don't say Fuhrer. That's too close to Fuhrer. Fewer and Fuhrer, that's too close. I don't want people thinking that I'm the Fuhrer yet. So... Do you know why they use natural gas and not renewable wind and solar? Because they need a consistent source of power. You cannot store wind and solar power at a price comparable. Again, I've made this argument before. If you have a higher demand for it and you justify the creation of more things like the storage power for the batteries, then it might bring the costs down. As such, it makes it more affordable so the more people can utilize it, which then makes more people, which will make the people supply more, more of the battery storage and more of the alternative green energy type of technology things, like, for example, the windmills, like, for example, the solar panels, and again, to make it more affordable for more people to jump in, thus reducing the overall demand. And again, solar power generation is becoming more efficient. Wind turbine power is getting more efficient. And again, I've never said here on Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from Left, That's Right, that you will completely be able to, at least at the beginning, eliminate the use of fossil fuels. But again, you want to, if you reduce the demand for it, you're also going to reduce the cost for it. So therefore it becomes better for everybody, except for maybe the shareholders of the giant oil industries, which is why they get people like y'all to repeat and regurgitate their points that try and scare you into not supporting these things, when in reality, the ability of solar and wind to be able to contribute to the overall power generation of this country is not, it absolutely works. It can work. You just don't want to see it because you're more than happy to just kiss up to big electricity, right? So, Alyosha, where's the ultra remix, mega mix of the Biden Done It song? Let's see. I say blame Biden song. So, I keep missing the comments by Susie. I keep missing if I missed the whatever. If it was her birthday or not. Let's see. I was in top chat. La 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 la. Yes, you did miss my birthday last Thursday. Okay, that's what I was looking for. So, belated from last Thursday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Susie. Happy birthday to you. And many more. Anyway, so there you go. There's a happy birthday song for Susie. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the sharing and link sharing that you do in all the chats for helping promote Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left. That's right. And Groove Dragon says tidal energy, wave energy, and geothermal energy are not intermittent. They are constant. That is also another good point. But again, they don't want it. The big energy companies are going to scare you into being afraid that you're going to not have power when it's dark out. Boo-hoo! You know, because they, like to lie. Right Said Rob says, not only environmental issues, but economical issues. What we do in 5, 10, 15 years when there are fewer jobs. No one is addressing that. The core are having a free-for-all and are financed by, or the corps are having a free-for-all and are financed by our money. Exactly. And I've said, one of the things that I've said here on Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from Left, that's right, is that when we have to ready ourselves, embrace ourselves for a post-scarcity society, and also for maybe even a fully automated society, which would require us to have UBI. We need universal basic income. And maybe more people would be on the side of these AI data centers if they did things like, provided their own power, 100% or more, provided their own water, to make sure that they're not a drain on the local systems, and also made sure that, they were taxed at a rate that could make sure to offset the loss of jobs or whatever, to make sure that we can have UBI so that people can afford to live and don't simply just die because they can't afford to pay for things because, everything's become automated. So, again, I don't know where you're getting your numbers. Why do you believe that you would only be able to increase the overall power production? I'm not talking about consumption. I'm talking about production. Yeah, and yeah, you need to have 100% of what you need at all times. But again, that can be combined by having lots of solar. And if you're putting solar, again, if you create a lot of solar to create solar during the day, and you create more solar during the day than what you need, then you can put the rest of the solar energy back onto the grid to offset that. So then the demand for overall electricity goes down for the non-renewable type of electricity, and then as such you can use those other forms. If you run out of battery backups or whatever, you can then use the other forms of electricity at night, and the demand for it's lower, so it becomes more cheap. It's less expensive. Why can't you get this through your thick skull? I don't understand. This is why Donald Trump said he loved the poorly educated after the 2016 Nevada primaries, because they will continue to regurgitate these big energy talking points that just are not based in any sort of reality, but they stick their heads in the ground and they want you to believe that this is the truth when it's not. You can absolutely offset your demand for fossil fuel energy by using renewable energy. And if for some reason you have to dip into the fossil fuel energy, guess what? Okay, but you're still using less of it. And that's overall better for the environment. That's overall better for the consumer. It's better for everybody except for the big energy, fossil fuel producers who make billions destroying our coastlines, who make billions and trillions destroying our environment. They make killing our wildlife. I mean, haven't you seen The Boys? I mean, the whole pipeline in the... I shouldn't spoil it. I'm sorry, I shouldn't spoil that. It's way too soon after a couple of episodes. And maybe I'll talk about that in a few weeks or whatever. But watch The Boys. There's another example of that. Yes, Ali Osher, but Trump hates windmills, so only energy he likes. Exactly, because...
A modern Don Quixote, he hates the windmills, claiming to protect the birds and whales he says they kill. But don't believe that story, it's really just a shill. He just did not want to see them wild golfing on Scottish hills.
Yes, unlimited, unturned stone. No. What if you run out of sun? Exactly. You don't have to drill for more sun. You don't have to drill, baby Joel. What if it's cloudy one day? Boo-hoo, it might be cloudy one day, so therefore it just disproves, the solar industry altogether. So, Flower Dragon, that's not the first reference I've heard to The Boys today. Yesterday was another episode. I think the penultimate episode before the series finale, I believe. I think this is the series finale on my birthday. So, anyway. Over on TikTok, thank you for Cinepa. Thank you to Philip. The Tej, all for y'all for joining over there as well. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. Remember to follow and share the stream, etc. Do all the good things to help the algorithm, because Al Gore needs more rhythm. Wow, I have 571 likes over on TikTok. That's awesome. We have 63 likes over on YouTube with 141 viewers, so you still have a bunch of people who have not liked the stream. Make sure to smash that like button before you smash the patriarchy, whatever. Guru Dragon, as you may know, using windmills to drive... Oh, wait. Hold on. Is this supposed to be a Trump thing? As you may know, it's not meant to be a Trump thing. Using windmills to drive compressors, you can store energy in the form of compressed air in huge tanks. There you go. I actually didn't know that, so you potentially learn something new every day. Frank goes, that's also the issue with greed, as well as what gets out the betterment of mankind. Yep, exactly. Corporate greed will kill us all. Corporate greed, if you go to Alien, that's why you probably had the Alien problem to begin with in the Alien franchise. Plus, in Alien, I believe it's correct to say that Alien was the one where you had the corporation where, one corporation controls everything. That's not good for consumers, especially non-regulated, right? I'm not going to respond to that, Edge, not because I don't have to respond to it, because I've already responded to the same points over and over and over again. There's no reason for me to respond to the same argument for a 17th time. Simple as that. I've made my point. You've made your counterpoint. You're not going to see it. It is what it is. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. That's Trump's line.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. But anyway. Again, I'm not against AI. Just to sum all it up. I'm not against AI. I think AI has uses, entertainment-wise and otherwise. I think there are good technology advances that could very well come with AI. You shouldn't be using AI to decide whether or not somebody gets life-saving care, United Healthcare. You shouldn't be doing that. Or if you do use AI to, determine whether or not somebody should get the care that they want, and AI tells you no, then there should always be a human person going behind that no to verify whether or not that no was actually accurately done, or if it was a false negative, and that you should have actually covered it under the policies. Because people can die if you don't give them, or from what I've heard, my dad, who lives in Maryland, moved away from he's in the United Health. He has the United Healthcare version of whatever his retirement plan is, and he can no longer go to the Johns Hopkins University medical system at all. The Johns Hopkins University system can't use it at all because they refused to renew their contract with United Healthcare because several people under their care died because United Healthcare either drug their feet or flat out said no to needed procedures that would have saved these people's lives. Because to these big corporations, especially the big insurance corporations, that profit and shareholder value is more important than making sure that people don't die and making sure that people are prevented, making sure that people can get the needed services, the needed procedures, and the needed medicines that they use to keep themselves healthy, to deal with their problems, etc. Like, I'm still fighting with United Healthcare currently to keep on my Zepbound that I've used to lose over 160 pounds at this point. But, United Healthcare doesn't give a shit because they're more concerned about shareholder values. And I understand that in some areas, Blue Cross Blue Shield may be the more expensive option, but you get what you pay for. And if you're going to pay for a cheaper healthcare option, you're going to have the results of getting a cheaper healthcare option, which means you're getting more of a health scare option, and more people are going to die. So, and right said Rob, exactly. American healthcare is shite in general, but even more egregious using AI to judge medical access. Absolutely. Edgewalker says, people before profit is an empty platitude. What? I mean, you don't have to deep throat the boot. You really don't have to deep throat the boot. Period. You don't have to be that much into the boot to actually deep throat it, right? So anyway, maybe that deserves one of these.
Oh my.
Anyway, so that's pretty much the conversation I was going to have about AI and the use, and we'll continue to follow this story. We'll continue to discuss what's going on with artificial intelligence and the drain of power and the people losing power. And I'm, because they have until next May to do so, we'll have plenty of time to follow up on this story and to say it. But again, if I'm the only one who's talking about the story, clips will be made of this show that will be put up onto YouTube. And if you want other people to see that I'm the only one talking about this thing, make sure to go to YouTube over the next few days once these videos, I don't remember exactly how long, yesterday's show, I think, are going to start posting at 10 o'clock tonight. And then whenever those bunches are done, then today's show's clips will be added into the queue afterwards. So whenever these particular clips start coming up talking about the Lake Tahoe electricity issue, I see some media companies covering it, but I don't know how many people in the corporate media are covering it. And maybe there's a reason why people in the corporate media aren't covering it, because they understand where their bread is buttered, and they don't want to, harm, they don't want to piss off Meta. They don't want to piss off all the other people. Hell, I freaking use ChatGPT to get the information about, to kind of summarize the information as to what's going on with whatever. And I went and checked out and to verify some of the facts before talking about it, because, you always need to verify and double check what they're saying. But even one of the potential titles that was given for this episode was, should ChatGPT be put second behind the right of people to have electricity, or something like that. So ChatGPT was even saying, hey, should we use power more than they do, right? So Edgewalker, Allison is quite involved too. You deserve it. Oh, the mean stuff I say. I speak meanly. I talk mean. I say mean things. Anyway, let's switch subjects now for a second. Let's see. Jan Morgan says, hold on. Moved off grid, getting over flipping on light switches. Hard habit to break. Waking up and firing up a generator to make coffee. Nice. Anyway, so Oklahoma. So, they had a vote in Oklahoma to ban child marriage, to close any loopholes that might exist in the law that would allow children to get married. Senate Bill 504 raised the minimum marriage age to 18 years old with no exceptions. And before the law was passed, and it was passed, look, it was absolutely passed. 16 and 17-year-olds could marry without parental consent. Children under 16 could marry with court approval in some cases, including pregnancy. And Oklahoma was one of only a handful of states with loopholes that still allow child marriage under certain conditions. The bill did pass 51% to 36% and became law without Republican Governor Stitt signing it. Every no vote came from who? The Republicans in Oklahoma. These are the people. Many Oklahoma Republican elected officials make a public part of their campaign. Oh, I support the law, Edgewalker, but what I'm talking about now is the Republicans who didn't. Many Oklahoma Republicans campaign on things like family values, protecting children, anti-grooming rhetoric, especially when it comes to trans folk. And then they want to have strict sexual morality laws. To me, if you were going to have strict sexual morality laws, one of those things would be making sure that, you can't marry kids. But 36 Republicans in the Oklahoma House voted to not pass this law. And it passed. So good for the people who pass it. There are some Republicans who clearly did vote for it. There are Democrats who clearly did vote for it. But 36 Republicans, no Democrat voted no, and 36 Republicans voted yes to keep the marriage of children legal. And what else is happening? The contrast is even sharper because Oklahoma lawmakers had already passed a ban or raised the age of sexual consent to 18 in prior legislation. So you can get married, but you can't have sex? Huh? So if somebody is under 18 is considered too young to legally consent to sex in those circumstances, why should they be old enough to be able to enter into a binding marriage contract? Make that make sense, conservatives. Make that make sense, please. Republicans have argued against the bill. Those Republicans that voted against the bill had certain arguments against the bill. Several Republicans argued that the ban was government overreach. So it's government overreach to protect kids now. It's government overreach to say that you shouldn't be marrying children. Interference with parental rights. The parental right to what? Marry off your children? They said that this was harmful to so-called stable families. What? I mean, are you raising your family in a stable? I mean, what the hell? How the hell is your family stable if you have children getting married? And it was too rigid because it removed exceptions for pregnancy and or religious family situations. So religion should be able to allow you to marry a kid? That's what you're saying? One Republican lawmaker, Josh Cantrell, argued that age limits are arbitrary, comparing marriage to military service, driving, and gun ownership. Oh yes, I bet you, it sounds to me that Josh Cantrell could be on a list somehow. Maybe the same list that Donald Trump appears on a lot of times. If you're trying to argue and justify. No, I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just positing that I would not be surprised to find out that this schmuck is on some sort of bad list as it pertains to kids. Critics responded, marriage is a lifelong legal contract. Minors cannot independently file for divorce, access shelters, or escape coercive relationships. Of course, child marriage disproportionately affects girls and can conceal abuse and or statutory grape, as you have to say over on TikTok, because TikTok's stupid. So the politics got even stranger because the Senate unanimously passed it earlier in the process. So everybody in the Senate said, yes, let's make it so that, kids can't marry. But the House of Representatives is like, nope, sorry. The House opposition came from the Republican side, and the measure only passed by a single vote margin in the House. Online reactions were brutal. Reddit threads and social media exploded with the accusations that lawmakers were defending shotgun wedding loopholes and prioritizing ideology over child protection. Of course, Again, these are the same Republicans that are trying to protect the kids from the trans people who are apparently coming after the kids. Right? Trans for everybody. We want trans for everybody, right? That's what Trump says. Trans for everybody. But apparently Republicans want child marriage for everybody. It's gross. Again, publicly tied to the opposition, Josh Cantrell and Justin Humphrey. Humphrey drew earlier criticism for being a lone no vote in a committee stage before when the bill was facing committee passage before final passage. The bill itself was introduced by Republican State Senator Warren Hamilton, who argued that minors are vulnerable and need protection from exploitation. I'll agree with that Republican State Senator Warren Hamilton, that minors are vulnerable and do need protection from exploitation. And these 36 Republicans in the Oklahoma legislature were like, nope, we don't think they need those protections. This is government overreach. So basically became one faction arguing protect children consistently, another faction argued to preserve parental discretion and traditional exceptions. Well, appeals to tradition are logical fallacies. So just because you did something a certain way for a certain amount of time doesn't mean you should continue doing it. So yeah. Let's this article. Executive summary, the claim is true as reported across multiple outlets. Oklahoma's SB 504, which raises the minimum marriage age to 18 with 0 exceptions, passed the House by a 51-36 margin. And reporting says all 36 no votes were cast by Republican members. The bill had previously passed the Senate unanimously and became law without Kevin Stitt's signature. The Oklahoma votes count was 51 in favor, 36 opposed, a margin that allowed the measure to advance to the governor despite 12 lawmakers being excused for the roll call. At least one report. Multiple local and national outlets report the same 51-36 tally and note the Senate had approved the measure without opposition. Did 36 Republicans vote against it? Yes. All 36 no votes came from Republican members of the Oklahoma House. Why did Republican lawmakers oppose the ban? Reporting attributes opposition to a set of principled objections voiced on the House floor. Some Republicans argued the ban amounted to government overreach into family and religious life. If your religion requires you to marry a kid, then your religion is stupid and you should leave it. That's what I feel. People should be free to practice their religions all they want, but you should not be able to be free to push your religion on other people, and you should not be able to use your religion to justify child marriage. They also complained that it stripped parental authority or created unintended consequences for conservative families. What unintended consequences are those? Oh, you can't marry your cousin because they're kids? Is that the unintended consequence of it? You're afraid that you might not be able to marry your cousin anymore, or even worse? Of course, Republicans complain about stripped parental authority as it pertains to child marriage. But then they don't want parents to be able to have a say as to whether or not their own kids can get, gender affirming care. Make that make sense. If you're going to make the argument, I'm not saying that these two things are identical in any way, but if you're going to make the argument that you're stripping parental authority by banning parents to be able to say, yes, these kids can marry, then how can you then justify saying that parents can't also then help make the best decisions for their kids as it pertains to whether or not they're trans or not? Let's see, individual statements quoted in coverage, such as those from Representatives Jim Olson and Danny Williams. Oh, there's another Dan. That frame the debate in terms of religious and parental rights rather than an endorsement of underage marriage per se. But if you're making excuses to allow kids to marry, then guess what? You're endorsing underage marriage. So Senate Bill 504 cleared the Senate unanimously, survived the contentious House debate, and was transmitted to Governor Kevin Stitt. Several reports note the bill became law without his signature, meaning he neither signed nor vetoed it within the statutory window. Oh, he couldn't take a bold stance, eh? He was like, I'm just going to let it pass. A lot of times, people refer to those sort of things as a pocket veto when you just pocket it and just walk away and don't sign it, and therefore you don't veto it either. But I guess in some states you have the situation where if it passes and the governor takes no action, then it becomes law without the governor taking action. Was it that difficult for Kevin Stitt to be able to decide whether or not he wanted to be on the right side of this should kids marry issue? Little ridiculous, right? Advocacy groups and Democratic lawmakers hailed the enactment as a long-sought protection for minors, with organizations like Unchained at Last noting in the reporting that partners in this push for the ban. Conservative commentators and some Republican lawmakers characterized the fight as a defense of family autonomy and religious liberty, and the social media and opinion outlets amplified both outrage and justification following the vote. So based on the reporting reviewed, the statement 36 Republican is accurate. This factually site factually seems like it's a better frickin' site than Snopes, because it seems to actually be covering things accurately. Factually, in fact, right? Let's see. Yeah, Ted Nugent has tears in his eyes. Yeah, he wants to put that hold in a stranglehold, right? Leviticus-loving lawmakers, exactly. So, Edgewalker over on Twitch, do you agree with me that this should have been a law? Do you agree with me that the 36 Republican legislators are stupid for opposing such a law? Or are you going to find some problem with what I said? Chad, what the fuck? Chad says, pretty sure most Muslims believe in marrying young and also marrying for. Where are you getting your information, Chad? Where did you find that information about what most Muslims believe? Have you polled all the billions of Muslims that exist in the planet and say whether or not they believe in that? I mean, I highly question your sources there, Chad. It seems kind of anti-Islamic to me. Right, said Rob. Edgewalker. Strangely silent. Yes. All dumb holy books condoned early marriage and childbirth. They were all dead by 40. Yep, exactly. As I said, billions. So 2.06 billion Muslims worldwide. And the idea that most of them support child marriage is bizarre. Anywho. So another topic that happened today. The other day, we had Justice Alito actually making a correct decision, at least temporarily, I think on Tuesday, or at least maybe it was Monday, to extend the stay on the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals ruling that would have banned the sale of Mifepristone over telehealth and via the U.S. mail. And today, on Thursday, the Supreme Court ruled to continue allowing Mifepristone, the most used drug in abortions, to be prescribed, rejecting a lower court's attempt to restrict it. The court's order will allow women seeking abortions to continue obtaining the drug at pharmacies, through the mail, and without an in-person visit to the doctor. The lawsuit will continue to play out, as access is likely to remain at least until next year, with the potential for an appeal. Supreme Court justices allow emergency requests from the makers of Mifepristone, who appealed a federal appeals court ruling that would require women to seek in-person doctors and further deter the delivery of the drug through mail. The FDA first approved the use of Mifepristone for abortions in 2000 and stopped requiring in-person doctor visits 5 years ago. Clarence Thomas and Sam Alito dissented. Thomas wrote that the two companies manufacturing the drug, Danco Laboratories, it's not my fault, and Gen Bio Pro are not entitled to, quote, lost profits from their criminal enterprises that may have resulted from the court's action against them. Earlier this week, FDA Commissioner Marty Makary resigned following months of criticism from Trump's allies, which included anti-abortionists. Meanwhile, the Trump administration has been quiet on the matter, declining to file a written brief recommending what the court should do, despite federal regulations being at stake. So let's continue. So the dissent from today, from what had Danco Laboratories LLC versus Louisiana et al. On application for stay, Gen Bio Pro Inc. versus Louisiana et al. On application for stay, May 14th, 2026. The applications for stay presented to Justice Alito and by him referred to the U.S. Court are granted. The May 1st, 2026 order of the U.S. States Court of Appeals of the 5th District is stayed pending disposition of the appeal in the United States Court of Appeals for the 5th Circuit and disposition of a petition for a writ of certiorari, if such a writ is timely sought. Should I don't even know how to pronounce that. I heard it earlier today. I was like, that's a weird pronunciation of it. Be denied, the stay shall terminate automatically. In the event it is granted, the stay shall terminate among the sending down of the judgment of this court. And Justice Thomas is listed as dissenter here. Applicants are manufacturers and distributors of Mifepristone, a drug that is primarily designed to cause abortion. They complain that the Fifth Circuit's order would reduce profits they derive from selling Mifepristone. I would deny their applications because they have not satisfied their burden for securing interim relief. Well, I mean, if it's ultimately ruled to be legal, and it already was legal, and if it's ruled to be legal, then why would you prevent them from, why would you change the status quo until you're able to fully hear the case? Right? I mean, look, we all know Alito is the dumbest Supreme Court justice that's ever existed in the history of the Supreme Court, as far as I can tell. But Thomas comes along there with a quick second, right? All right, separately to note that, as Louisiana argued below, it is a criminal offense to ship Mifepristone for use in abortions. The Comstock Act bans using, quote, the mails, end quote, to ship any drug, ... for producing an abortion. A neighboring provision makes it a felony to use any express company or any other common carrier or interactive computer service to ship, quote, any drug, ... designed, adapted, or intended for producing abortion. Now, why did he have ... Why did he not include all of the text? I wonder why. We'll look at that in a second. Applicants ship Mifepristone to certified pharmacies, which in turn must ship Mifepristone using a shipping service to users. FDA, risk evaluation, mitigation strategy, single shared, blah, 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 blah. As relevant to this case, Mifepristone shipped to Louisiana, which bans abortions, causes nearly 1,000 abortions per month. Now, is that 1,000 abortions per month in Louisiana, or 1,000 abortions per month overall in the nation? And it goes, and cites the Alliance for Hippocratic Medicine versus the FDA, saying that, that again, that it should be considered illegal because of the Comstock Act. Applicants are not entitled to a stay of an adverse court order based on lost profits from their criminal enterprise. They cannot, in any legally relevant case, be irreparably harmed by a court order that makes it more difficult for them to commit crimes. Of course, they're not committing a crime at this point, and they haven't been deemed to have committed a crime, and as such, you shouldn't be treating them as if they committed a crime. Innocent until proven guilty, right? And whereas it would serve the public interest to reduce applicants' opportunity to commit crimes. So he respectfully dissent. And then Alito. Here's Alito's dissent. This is what I was waiting for. I haven't read Alito's part yet because, I wanted to see what kind of dumbass argument Alito would make. I wanted my response to Alito's to be, just raw, unfiltered, uncensored, and my first time seeing it as maybe your first time having it read to you. The court's unreasoned order granting stays in this case is remarkable. Aren't you, Alito, the one that initially granted the stay? You initially granted the stay, you dumb piece of shit. I mean, he starts off in his first sentence saying that granting a stay in this case is remarkable. You granted the stay. Like, again, how dumb are you? If you've not listened to Liberal Dan Radio Talk from the Left, that's right. If you typically are just usually only watch the show after Hal, and you haven't seen my review of Justice Alito and how horrible his rulings are, we can go over that. If you want me to talk about that again in the chat, I am more than happy to talk about that. Or let me know if you want me to just go over and review Alito's stupidity in his other 5 rulings that we've talked about on this show so far. I'm sure there's many more stupid rulings by Alito. We should maybe go through just a 30,000-foot view of all of the Alito-authored opinions and say which ones are just the stupidest Alito rulings and which ones make sense. And I have a feeling that most of them are going to be dumb. But it'll be interesting to see which the stupidest ones are. Salinas v. Texas is probably one of those. Top 5 at least. It's currently top 5 because we only know 5 at this point. So what is at stake is the perpetration of a scheme to undermine our decision in Dobbs v. Jackson, Women's Health Organization, which restored the right of each state to decide how to regulate abortions within its borders. More problems with how that's worded, Justice Alito. States do not have rights. There is no such thing as states' rights. You will look in the Constitution. I challenge any conservative right now to go read the Constitution and do a search, find a text-based constitution and do a search of the whole text of the document for the states' rights, in quotes, you will not find it. Why? Because the idea of states' rights is a myth. It's a colloquialism to represent the powers that states get via the 10th Amendment. But powers are not rights. Rights belong to people. Powers belong to government entities and to people when they vote as government. So while, again, and you also in Dobbs v. Jackson argued that abortion is not stated in the Constitution as a right, therefore it's not a right that people have, completely ignoring the 9th Amendment. Because the 9th Amendment, the redheaded stepchild of all the amendments, basically says that rights need not be enumerated in order for them to be protected. So, this is giving you a 30,000-foot view of how stupid Justice Alito is. Let's continue, shall we? Some states responded to Dobbs by making it even easier to pin an abortion than it was before, and that is their prerogative. Other states, including Louisiana, made abortion illegal except in narrow circumstances. I would even argue that Louisiana has made it impossible to get an abortion, just like they made it impossible to get an abortion in Texas, because even when you meet the criteria of a dangerous pregnancy that is a risk to your life, the attorneys general of those states are going to step in and prevent you from doing it because they're stupid sons of bitches. Period. With a T at the end. Louisiana's efforts have been thwarted by certain medical providers, private organizations, and states that abhor laws like Louisiana's and seek to undermine their enforcement. These medical providers and private organizations, and if the federal regulations state that you can get it via the mail, then guess what? It's too bad for Louisiana and their draconian abortion bans. These medical providers and private organizations have developed an operation enabling women in Louisiana and other states that restrict abortions to place an order online for a pill called Mifepristone that induces an abortion, which of course is also prescribed in Mifepristone. Let's see, aidaccess.org. He lists a website where how you can get an abortion pill online in Louisiana. After an order is placed, the drug is mailed to the women in Louisiana. The manufacturers of the drug, including Danco and Gen BioPro, are obviously aware that what is going on, yet nevertheless supply the drug and reap profits from its felonious use in Louisiana. Oh, well, boo-hoo. I would argue that your dumb Supreme Court ruling is not well-founded, and as such, you're unconstitutionally preventing people from having body autonomy. Your ruling violated the Constitution. Your ruling that you authored, Alito, has basically made it so that individuals are not able to save their lives in the way that their doctors feel is the most safe and effective way for them to save their own damn lives, let alone all the other issues I have with these draconian abortion laws. And there's rules on, civil disobedience, and if laws are unjust, you are morally required to not follow them. One might think that Louisiana could stop or impede this out-of-state interference in its law enforcement by bringing civil actions or criminal charges against the participants in the scheme, but states have effectively blocked these efforts by enacting so-called shield laws, which prevent Louisiana from visiting any adverse legal consequences on the perpetrators. Right, because if a doctor in California is going to sit there and prescribe legal medicine to people that's legal in California, why should they care? They don't live in Louisiana. They don't live in Louisiana. They shouldn't be beholden to Louisiana laws. They're not committing any crimes in Louisiana. They're doing everything in California. Their actions in California are legal. So how the fuck are you going to arrest them? Makes no goddamn sense. And here's the other thing that doesn't make any sense about this whole scheme is that if you're rich enough and you want to get like RU46, the Mifepristone and Misoprostol, if you're wealthy enough to do that, you don't have to worry about it. You could just go to California or go to some other blue state that might be closer to you and get the pill there instead of having to have it sent to you by the mail. But not everybody is that wealthy. Not everybody is that rich. So you've now created a patchwork of laws in this country as it pertains to rights, and the access of abortion is not necessarily based on what state you live in, but how rich you are, how much money you have, whether or not you can participate and make sure that you have body autonomy. So That's, so it's fine if a Louisiana resident has enough money to travel to California and go get one of these pills, pop it, and then head back to Louisiana. That's okay, but someone in Louisiana can't have it mailed to them. How dumb is that? From a California doctor or any other doctor in any other state that has no problem with people having body autonomy. So, all right, said Rob, they really just want a permanent uneducated poor lower class, don't they? Exactly, because Donald Trump loves the poorly educated. And that's how he maintains his power, by people who are poorly educated being his sycophants and deep-throating his boot or whatever other shoe he's wearing, or loose-fitting shoe that his other people are wearing, like Kash Patel, right? Speaking of Kash Patel. Anyway, see, Governor Kathy Hochul has refused to extradite a doctor who allegedly prescribed and sent abortifacients into Louisiana. As a result, more abortions now occur each month in Louisiana than they did before Dobbs. Ha ha, too bad, suckers. You caused a problem. You made the problem worse than it was originally because you had to F around and now you're finding out. Oh yeah, so here, Alito says, by one count, nearly 1,000 abortions occur there each month. This scheme would not have been possible under FDA regulations had the federal government not taken steps in 2021 and 2023 to facilitate mail-order abortions. Since the FDA first approved Mifepristone in 2000, the drug has been subject to risk evaluation and mitigation strategies to ensure, as otherwise referred to as REMS, to ensure that its benefits outweigh the risks. For 2 decades, REMS for Mifepristone required patients meet in person with a medical provider to administer the drug. However, the FDA adopted a policy of non-enforcement to this in-person dispensing requirements. Non-enforcement? Or did they say it's not necessary because we've now learned more things over the course of the 20-some-odd years that this drug has been available, and we've now determined, based on clinical data after people taking this drug, that there is no reason to require somebody to have to go in person to get it. We can just do it via telehealth, and it's fine. Following a year after our decision in Dobbs, the Biden administration announced it would use every lever it had to ensure every American has access to medication abortion that has been approved by the FDA for over 20 years. Obvious reference to Mifepristone, blah, 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 blah. Hold on a second. I hear my dog barking, and I need to make sure that the kids let the dog in. Let the dogs in now, please, because we don't want the whiny bitches that we have as neighbors to be upset over the fact that our dogs are barking. Let's see. The FDA pulled one of those levers in 2023 when it formally eliminated the in-person dispensing requirement, removing a significant regulatory barrier from the schemes to undermine Dobbs. Since then, the Secretary of Health and Human Services has admitted that the FDA gave inadequate consideration. Was this the current one? Was this Robert F. Kennedy Jr. that said this? They didn't cite who, didn't cite the year it was said. In an effort to stop ongoing schemes to subvert its abortion laws, Louisiana sued the FDA under the Administrative Protection Act, blah, 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 blah. I would deny the application. You allow the application for a state to begin with. Now you're going to deny it. This week's Hypocrite of the Week, if I didn't already have Steve Scalise as the Hypocrite of the Week, would be Justice Alito. He would deny the applications because, as things stand, manufacturers have failed to show that they faced irreparable injury, without which the court may not grant a stay. Unless the Fifth Circuit order spurs the FDA into moving on its safety review, there is no indication that the Fifth Circuit order will adversely affect the manufacturers whatsoever. I mean, if it prevents people from having customers in all the red states that have banned abortions ridiculously with these draconian laws, then yes, absolutely, they'll be able to show harm. There is potential harm that can come in. All the evidence is to the contrary. What's shocking here is that it's only Thomas and only Alito who are dissenting. I'm surprised we didn't see Amy Coney Barrett or Kavanaugh or Gorsuch, that we didn't see those dissent either. That's actually probably the most shocking thing about this dissent, is that it was only a 6-2, unless maybe others dissented but didn't want their names on paper or whatever. If the FDA were to execute an abrupt about-face and commence enforcement of the in-person dispensing requirement, the manufacturers could promptly reapply for stays at the time. But even were that to happen, the manufacturers have not shown that they would be able to suffer irreparable injury, blah, blah, blah. Again, losing a bunch of profit would seem to be irreparable injury, right? But let's look for a second, because one of the things that... I don't believe that, Chad, for a second. Judge's consent. Let's see. AI overview of this. There's technically no minimum age to marry in California as long as the minor has written consent of a parent and legal guardian and a court order from a superior court judge. A marriage can be legally permitted at any age. However, the process is highly restricted and heavily scrutinized. Mandatory counseling. Both prospective spouses and the minor's parents are required to attend an individual interview counseling session with the court-appointed official or family court services. The goal is to evaluate the readiness of the parties and screen for abuse, coercion, or trafficking. Judicial discretion. Granting a court order is entirely up to the discretion of the judge. Waiting period. Under Family Code Section 304, there is a mandatory 30-day waiting period between the date the court grants permission to marry and the date the marriage license can be issued. Exceptions to the waiting period. It can be waived if the minor is 17 and has a high school diploma or equivalency, or if the minor or that prospective spouse is expecting a child. To begin the process, so that's not going to happen with the 5-year-old. To begin the process, the minor must apply in their county of residence using the California Court Self-Help Center to locate the correct family law facilitator or juvenile court. What is the youngest child that has married in California? See how much of a problem this is. It's TikTok complaining that it seems that I'm not whatever. So currently, California, Mississippi, New Mexico, Oklahoma are the only 4 states in the U.S. that still allow marriage at any age. Actually, that's not true because now marriage is in Oklahoma. So this is actually antiquated and not even updated or correct. But yeah, is it disturbing that that a judge could allow a 10-year-old, 12-year-old to get married? Yeah, sure. Maybe California should get on that. But yes, but it's not impossible, he says. But again, is there any evidence of a 5-year-old getting married, or are you just using the example of a 5-year-old getting married just to be shocking and awe? Shocking, right? Anyway, Comstock Act. The Comstock Act, which was passed in 1873. So this is what Justice Thomas was using as a part of the justification of his dissent, was the Comstock Act of 1873. So more than a century years old. And again, as we talked about with Justice Clarence Thomas, when he was citing it, he cited it bans using, quote, the males to ship any drug ... for producing abortion. So why did he include the ... Let's see, mailing obscene or crime inciting matter. Every obscene, lewd, lascivious, indecent, filthy, or vile article, matter, thing, device, or substance. You can't mail any of those things, and that doesn't mention abortion. Of course, Tom Lehrer wrote a song about that, and I did a parody of it, a reimagining of Tom Lehrer's smut song using AI or whatever. So I think this is now, and perhaps since we're talking about every obscene, lewd, lascivious, indecent, or filthy, vile article, matter, thing, stuff, device, or substance. So let's briefly listen to my reimagining of Tom Lehrer's smut.
Smut, give me smut, and nothing but a dirty novel I can't shut. If it's uncut and unsucked, I've never quibbled. If it was ribbled, I would devour where others merely nibbled. As the judge remarked the day that he acquitted my importance to be smut, it must be utterly without redeeming social importance. Poor, no graphic pictures I adore. Indecent magazines galore, I like them more if they're hardcore. Play on the obscene movies, murals, postcards, neckties, samplers, stained glass windows, tattoos, anything more, I'm still not satisfied. Stories of tortures used by debauchers, lurid, licentious, and vile, make me smile. Novels that pander to my taste for cat to give me a pleasure sublime. Let's face it, I love slime. Old books can be the indecent books, the recent books are bolder. For filth, I'm glad to say, is in the mind of the beholder. When correctly viewed, everything is lewd. I could tell you things about Peter Pan and the Wizard of Oz. There's a dirty old man I thrill to any book like Fanny Hill, and I suppose I'll always will if it is swill. And really filthy, who needs a hobby like tennis or philately? I've got a hobby, we're reading Lighty Shadowy, but now they're trying to take it all away from us unless we take a stand. And hand in hand, we fight for freedom of the press. In other words, slut, I love it. The adventures of a slut. Oh, I'm a market they can't glut. I don't know what compares with smut. Hip, hip, hooray. Let's hear it for the Supreme Court. Don't let them take it away. I don't know what compares with smut. Hip, hip, hooray. Let's hear it for the Supreme Court. Don't let them take it away.
Yeah, anyway, that's my reimagining of Tom Lehrer's Smut. And of course, I was able to do so because he put his music and his lyrics all in the public domain. So you can, before he passed away, so you can freely reimagine his songs in different formats. So, which I'm actually thinking of redoing some of those as well, because, I could probably use some of the technology that I have to make it sound like one, but, kind of like what I did with my other versions of, with the Hispanics versions, I guess, of whatchamacallit, of all the other songs like A Hoax and the Liberal Dan theme song and Had Biden Done It, for example. Gore Boomer, can a fetus get married in California? Only if a judge signs off on it. Then you have to shove the pen up there to be able to make sure that the fetus can actually get the signature. And of course, the hand would have to be fully formed around, so we can form around, so you can do a little signature, right?
Oh my.
Anyway, are you from Canada? I am not from Canada, KSD. But Big Hook over in the YouTube chat is a Canadian. So, anyway, so let's continue talking about the Comstock Act. Every article or thing designed, adapted, or intended for producing abortion, or for any indecent or immoral use, and every article, instrument, substance, drug, medicine, or thing which is advertised or described in a manner calculated to lead another to use or apply it for production of abortion for any indecent or immoral purpose, whatever. And again, it requires any indecent, immoral purpose. So if it's not indecent or immoral, then I don't think that would apply. And this is, again, back to the Tom Lehrer song. Every written or printed card, letter, circular, book, pamphlet, advertisement, or notice of any kind giving information directly or indirectly, where, how, for whom, how, from whom, or what means, any such mailers, articles, or things, murals, postcards, stained glass windows, tattoos, anything, as Tom Lehrer says, or how about what means abortion may be procured, whether sealed or unsealed. Every paper, writing, advertisement, representation, article, instrument, substance, drug, medicine, thing, whatever can be used or applies to producing abortion for or for any indecent or immoral purpose. And there's a lot of words in here that other Supreme Court rulings have pretty much already kind of said, hey, you can't, because there are people who consider things like the morning or the birth control pill to be abortifacients, which is not true, but they still consider it to be an abortifacient, so they consider birth control pills to be immoral, and the Supreme Court has already ruled in Griswold versus Connecticut and the other ruling, which deals with non-married couples, that they should be able to get oral contraception without an issue. So any bans on such things are already overturned in part by these other Supreme Court rulings. So, I don't know. I think they're kind of stretching here, trying to use the 1870s Comstock Act to be able to justify whatever it is they're trying to claim it does. And of course, I think they did mention this other case, which has the Food and Drug Administration et al. Versus the Alliance for Hippocratic Medicine. And of course, I think the one thing that I can't find a mention of the Comstock Act in any of this anywhere, but I'm pretty damn certain that when this ruling was unanimous, but I'm pretty damn certain that Justice Thomas did what he typically does and cited his own opinions as proof to back up his other opinions. So basically, a lot of Justice Thomas's opinions in the Supreme Court tend to be stacking his own opinions on top of each other, but of course, when the foundation is full of shit, it's going to top over. Orb Rumor with some data and facts in the chats. The average age for our first marriage is among the highest in the nation, with residents typically marrying in their early 30s. Recent 2026 data indicates a median age of approximately 32. Of course, Chad goes, the argument is that if it's possible, I mean, yes, it's possible I might grow wings and start flying right now. It's possible I might have 100 pounds more just shed off my body immediately and I become very svelte. But whether or not it's probable is a whole different story. And maybe you can find an example for, I don't know what the year would be of when you could go back and find a 12-year-old who whatever was able to get married under some strange rules that were whatever. But again, would I be fine with California passing a law that would be like the Oklahoma law that sets a hard limit of 18? Abso-fucking-lutely. But, you know, I see no evidence that they're actually, it's a huge problem because, you know, I'd probably, you know, my guess would probably be it was in a conservative MAGA leaning area anyway, right? So, anyway. Oh, it's almost 10 o'clock. Wow. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from left, that's right. Again, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Central here at liberaldanradio.com, which is the YouTube channel. Twitch.liberaldanradio.com, which is the Twitch channel. Of course, Liberal Dan Radio on TikTok as well. Let's see. Let's go ahead and we're going to mute those for a second while we open this thing up. And then we're going to bring this open so I can open it up. And let's see. Let's start from the beginning, whatever. Anyway, so I think we're going to call this an end to Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right, for today. I've covered all of these things that I would like to cover. But people had asked earlier in the chat whether or not I had alternate versions of the songs, like Had Biden Done It. So we do. And, you know, If Trump Can't See It and all the other ones that I've done. There's the Ghostbusters one didn't get redone, but all the other ones did. So again, what we're going to do is while we're going out, we're going to play that, or maybe I should just do it this way, put it the alternate there, and there we go. That's what we'll do. We'll do the alternate for a second, even though it doesn't show the chat, and then we'll, after we play a couple of these songs, we'll go ahead and play the, oh, not that one. Well, after we play a couple of those songs, we'll play some of the other songs as well that we end the show with. Or maybe I'll show you, maybe I'll get up to at least Had Biden Done It, and then play the regular Had Biden Done It, and then play some of the other ones that we normally go on the way out. Or actually, we'll just do the first two, and then we'll go in there. Anyway, so thank you very much for watching. Appreciate y'all. You have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. Again, my birthday is May 20th in 6 days. Try and share some stuff and try and encourage your friends to give me the best birthday gift, which would be to get me a bunch of subscriptions to get me up to 2,000. Anyway, let's listen to the song and we will go on our way out. Have a great one. Peace.
Obama and Bush's pictures got hidden, obscuring the past, history rewritten. Hung in a hallway where no tour can see, confirming his unending fragility. If Trump can see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. Object permanent, a milestone missed. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Was the line that he said. Hundreds of thousands needlessly dead. Now wait, treat justice run by brain work whack, hiding the truth behind his back. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list, an administration run by narcissists. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Oh yeah. Boxes of documents stacked floor to the wall, top secret folders in a bathroom stall. charges were pressed, but the case was dropped. A corrupt judicial system he can corrupt. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. He'll swear it's fake news, a liberal twist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Encampments downtown, tents lining the street. Invisible people that power won't meet. Hide them away so the cameras can't find the proof of a system that's cold and unkind. A payout in secret, an NDA signed, and a legal bribe. Michael Cohen fined. Trump got fined too over his gag order, but she didn't gag cause he was much shorter. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. We can't let him win, we must resist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist.
Gather round everyone and I'll tell you a tale about an orange-faced buffoon who should be in a jail. When people say he's done something that goes beyond the pale, he will shake his head and give this answer without fail. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, he says he tells no lies and that he never jokes. Confront him with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax. A modern Don Quixote, he hates the windmills, claiming to protect the birds and whales he says they kill. But don't believe that story, it's really just a shill. He just did not want to see them wild golfing on Scottish hills. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, changing a storm path with black marker strokes. Confront him with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax. Casting mail-in ballots is something that he's done. Now he wants to ban them for each and every one. He claims it for integrity in each election, but he won't believe the results unless it's him that's won. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, he'll fool you with distractions like real sugar and cokes. Confront him with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax. He promised to release all the Epstein files that caused all the MAGA base to react with smiles. But how long has he put it off? It sure has been a while, and now he's calling this a hoax, protecting head of files. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, he'll keep on gaslighting up until he croaks. Confront him with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax.
Trump piled debt, trillions tall. Promised Mexico would fund our wall. Praised dictators that they're strong. Had Joe done it, they'd say he's wrong. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd scream foul play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Golf through crisis, storms and more. Called soldiers losers who died in war.
of Kim Jong-un. He wrote love letters that take the guns first, lose those rights forever. Signed huge spending bills with glee. Had Joe done that, it'd be tyranny. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, poll numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they scream not today, but Trump did it, so it must be okay. Kept secret files, countless untold. Said Putin's word was good as gold. Invited the Taliban to come to U.S. soil. If Joe had done that, they'd all recoil. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, poll numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd want him to pay. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Double standards loud and clear. Rules for Trump, but not for peers. What they call treason, if Joe's the name, is patriotism when Donald's to blame. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, poll numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd shout no way. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Trump piled debt, trillions tall. Promised Mexico would fund that wall. Praised dictators, said they're strong. Had Joe done it, they'd say he's wrong. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, poll numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd scream foul play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Goes through crises, storms, and war. Called soldiers losers who died in war. Hired his kids to run D.C. If it was Hunter, they'd scream treachery. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, poll numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, Fox News would say our day. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Love Kim Jong-un, he wrote love letters that take the guns first, lose those rights forever. Signed huge spending bills with glee. Had Joe done that, it'd be tyranny. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, poll numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd shout not today, but Trump did it, so it must be okay. Kept secret files, countless untold. Said Putin's word was good as gold. Invited the Taliban to come to U.S. soil. If Joe had done that, they'd all recoil. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, poll numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd want him to pay. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Double standards loud and clear. Rules for Trump, but not for peers. What they call treason, if Joe's the name, is patriotism when Donald's to blame. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, poll numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd shout no way. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
Obama and Bush's pictures got hidden, obscuring the past, history rewritten. Hung in a hallway where no tour can see, confirming his unending fragility. If Trump can't see it, You must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. Object permanent, a milestone missed. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Stop the testing was the line that he said. Hundreds of thousands needlessly dead. Now HHS is run by brainworm quack, hiding the truth behind his back. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. An administration run by narcissists. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Of documents stacked floor to the wall, top secret folders in a bathroom stall. Charges were pressed but the case was dropped. A corrupt judicial system he can co-opt. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. He'll swear it's fake news, a liberal twist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Encampments downtown, tents lining the street. Invisible people that power won't need. Hide them away so the cameras can't find the proof of a system that's cold and unkind. Of chaos in secret and NDA sign. An illegal bribe, Michael Cohen fine. Trump got fined too over his gag order, but she didn't gag cause he was much shorter. It must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. We can't let him win, we must resist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist.
Disrespect Grogu like that and saying it's Grogu again. Much more. But Trumpian with that, you know, with that little blanket hairstyle, which made me think, and if you're friends with me on Facebook, some people are friends with me on Facebook. If you're friends with me on Facebook, you've seen the first part of this, but I went a little overboard. So here we go. Donald Trump in the Star Wars universe. First starting off as kind of like a Jedi, whatever, a Force user or whatever, but still we're going to go on with it. Donald Trump in the Star Wars universe. I have the best force powers like nobody's ever seen, but the fake news media only wants to talk about Sleepy Yoda and old Obi-Wan. I was never on Palpatine's island, and his list is a Jedi hoax. And if the Tusken Raiders don't stop blocking entry to Mos Eisley, I'm gonna bomb them and take their water. And we're gonna build a big, beautiful battle station. Some call it Project Stardust, others call it the Death Star, but it'll be paid for by private contributions and not Republican taxes. Jabba the Hutt, a good friend of mine, a great businessman, just offered 100 million credits to help build the big, beautiful battle station. And the only way that we can have peace in the empire, and I like to call it an empire and not a republic because it's stronger, mopey Mon Mothma and boring Bail Organa would weaken us. I've instructed Governor Tarkin to rename us the Galactic Empire. It has a nice ring to it, and we're going to call our warfighters stormtroopers. And I know how to make peace. I've ended so many wars with the Trade Federation and the Separatists. I'm a man of peace, and we can't have peace without our big, beautiful battle station, otherwise the Death Star. The open border policy of the Jedi have allowed millions of credits worth of spice to flow from Kessel. Governor Tarkin has taken out many freighters. Some even are the YT-1300, like the one that anti-fascist terrorist Han Solo flies. We've reduced spice usage in the Empire by 500%. Can you believe it? 500%. Sleepy Yoda would have never done that, but my administration did. Another Jedi hoax by Sleepy Yoda is green power. Can you imagine that he's green and he wants green power? The solar ionization reactors are killing the Purgle, or as I like to call them, space whales. And many don't know that solar ionization reactors cause cancer.
And those Wookiees who are sending their worst, by the way, especially that Chewbacca. They use bioenergy from the horseshoe trees of now how do you say that? Kashyyyk. If you knock down the trees, you kill the birds, and nobody's a bigger friend of the birds than me. Under the Trump empire, we will dig, baby, dig, and get beautiful kyber crystals, and lying Lando tried to steal the coaxium from the empire. Kyber crystals and coaxium will make sure that they can power a big, beautiful battle station and our new fleet of Star Destroyers, which Governor Tarkin assures me that we're calling it the Trump class. Finally, I have the ISB, the Imperial Security Bureau, which I nickname ICE, and Governor Tarkin. Some call him Grand Moff Tarkin, some call him Governor. He has a lot of titles. He'll be working with Director Yularen to ensure that only citizens of the Galactic Empire can vote. Sleepy Yoda would allow Jawas to vote and would allow voting via the Holonet, which is fraud. All votes via the Holonet are fraud. And I've instructed the regional governors to redraw sector lines to make sure the Senate will support these policies. And because I'll be on Coruscant and not on Mar-a-Lago for these vital elections, I'll be casting my vote over the Holonet. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Ames asks, how many wars have you ended that involve the colonies of penguins?
Oh, you know, their colonies of their porgs where Lion Luke Skywalker was there with the porgs. And, you know, the porgs pay lots of tariffs. They don't pay any more tariffs, and so many people pay tariffs. But the porgs are paying the tariffs. And we have to charge them a tariff because we need the funds for the Empire to build the big, beautiful battle station, even though it's private donations that are funding it, too. Other questions from the chat from Big Hook. He says, can you do the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs? I can do the Kessel Run in 11. Nobody does the Kessel Run faster than me. Even horrible Han Solo, he says it's 12 parsecs. I do it in 11. I do it 100 times faster, 200 times quicker than old Han Solo. He can't do it as fast as I can, believe you me. And if you want to know how fast I am, just ask Stormy Daniels.
He said nobody who healthcare could be so complicated. The Obamacare debate was 6 months litigated. Years of med school debt got capitalized. Insurance claim forms so high they nearly capsized. But he wouldn't know the frustration of trying to get prior authorization. Everybody knew, the whole world knew, the doctors, the lawyers, the CBO crew. Oh, 30,000 pages of ready review. It wasn't a big secret. We knew. He said people don't realize Obama deported, but the porter-in-chief is what La Raza retorted. Obama went after the violent folks and felons. Trump nabbed the dishwashers and people picking melons. But Donald's argument shows that he's not very bright. If Obama made some wrongs, two wrongs don't make a right. Everybody knew, the whole world knew. Univision, AP, the fact check crew. Oh, acting all surprised that the sky is blue. It wasn't no secret. We knew. He asked who knew a virus could be so contagious. Virologist blinked at someone so outrageous. He was surprised at how many countries existed that existed. No wonder when the virus spread, either one who missed it spread a map, slit red in every deadly hue. World Health Memo said we already knew. Everybody knew. Oh, the whole world knew. with the flu. Oh, the nations of the world, more than 192. It wasn't a big secret. We knew. You unveiled oxygen like contraband air. Like 6 there. You sat down, claiming to discover chairs. War called money was this big surprise. Iraq has oil, can you believe your eyes? He said, we are divided, a surprise to no one thinking. And he was most surprised a Republican was Lincoln. Everybody knew, the world knew. The Christians, the Muslims, atheists, and the Jews. Like being shot, they have animals at the zoo. It wasn't a big secret. We knew. Everybody knew. Everybody knew. Everybody knew. Everybody knew.
They wrote it in the laws, ink still bleeds. Treating women like soil, just planting seeds. She's gone, brain dead, not even awake. But the state's got a claim, gonna plant its stake. Say it's God's will, say it's life they protect. But they ain't the ones feeling pain or neglect. From Texas to Georgia, they set the trap. Rights roll back while they smile and clap. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey, MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. This ain't pro-life, it's control and shame. They don't care if she's gone, just playing a game. Keep her hooked to machines, cold and still. Just a vessel to them, not a human with will. No consent, no voice, no chance to resist. Just laws in place, written with a clenched fist. Hospitals scared, judges playing God. Bodies ain't temples, just state-owned pods. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey, MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Bands in the dark, they don't care who it kills. Sacking courts while they strip out all of your wills. But we'll fight back, march loud, burn bright. Cause this ain't the end, it's the start of the fight. Gilead's here, ain't no grace. And those leopards are coming to eat your face. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator.